First of all, I just want to say I'm honored to be able to serve Fremont and serve as your mayor the past 10 years. This is probably my last State of the City report, but certainly is one that is very exciting, and we certainly have accomplished a lot. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. 2019 was a year to remember. Year of change, growth, along with a lot of devastation. We began the year with 3 new council members, Glenn Ellis, 2nd Ward, Mark Jensen, 3rd Ward, and Brad Yerger, 4th Ward. As new council, the focus turned to wanting to have more open and more transparent style of government. In March, we added a 30-minute public comment period at the beginning of the last meeting of each month. This allows the public an opportunity to come forward and discuss any item not included on the agendas. We began to stream the meetings on the radio, and finally in September we began a live video feed of each city council meeting. We continue to tweak that so we can actually see the votes, so we can actually pan across, and we'll continue to work on that as we move forward. In January, we found ourselves working on items and projects carried over from 2018. We approved the preliminary and final plats in regards to the Costco Lincoln Premium Poultry Processing Facility. This approval provided a final layout and allowed the completion of the entire city approval process in regards to that project. In late February, Council approved the final clarification of the legal description, paving the way for the conveyance of the city-owned real estate to the Dodge County Humane Society. This sale allows for their future expansion down the road. In February, we approved a local option economic development loan for $600,000 and $100,000 economic enhancement loan to WLG Fremont LLC. Both loans are to be used for the expansion and building for the corporate headquarters of RTG Medico to be located in Gallery 23. March was a whirlwind caused by heavy snows, followed by heavy rains. Then the warm temperatures came, which caused historical flooding across the entire state, and devastation of both Dodge County and Fremont, Nebraska, which began on the evening of March 18th. Late that evening, due to ice jams, the Platte River raised, affecting the residents of Emerson Estates and the village of Inglewood, Doves Cove, and Woodcliff, and it was beginning to threaten South Fremont. That next morning, early, 6:37-ish, city crews along with Sawyer Construction worked for several hours to reinforce the levee owned by the Fremont Farmland Railroad Drainage District. The real threat was at the Burlington tracks near Boulevard and Platte Streets. Water was running over it, it was bubbling out the sides, and at the base of the levee, the entire levee was about ready to breach. After hundreds of loads of sand, dirt, and ash, and a sandbag brigade, we were able to reinforce and stop the flow at this point. By mid-morning, we shifted our focus and resources to water that was coming up Highway 77 in South Main into the industrial areas of Fremont. The state of Nebraska at that time had closed the Platte River Bridge heading south. At Main and Cloverly, we began blocking the ditches. We built a temporary levee on Cloverly to try and force the water back to the Platte Street ditch and then back south to the river. We also sandbagged at Main and Jackson to stop the advance of water further north and into downtown Fremont. That evening we had placed a curfew on the affected areas in South Fremont, and it appeared we had diverted the initial flow of water. And you kind of took a tiny sigh. But at midnight, We received calls, and the city administrator and assistant city administrator were notified of heavy water coming up Ridge Road and threatening the Davenport area. With the help of several citizens that just happened to be out on the street for some reason that evening, we actually were able to sandbag Military and Ridge Road and that intersection, which prevented the flow into the Davenport area. Early that Saturday morning, we knew we had a breach somewhere, we just didn't know where, causing water to enter back into Inglewood and Regency, and it was beginning to fill the basins surrounding Lincoln Premium Poultry, and the flow of water was moving north under and over the UP tracks into South Fremont and on to Old Highway 275. Downing Street was a river of water, and it was apparent we were going to lose southeast Fremont if we didn't act quickly. That morning, with the help of social media, the radio, this community came to life. The citizens of Fremont jumped into action as they filled thousands of sandbags. And before you knew it, we were building a sandbag barrier from the bottom of the viaduct east to the Douglas County line. We utilized the ditch north of the UP tracks as the main channel. We removed the culverts, which increased the water flow out of town, which I'm not real sure the city staff appreciated that because we had to go put them all back in, but we did that. This was a monumental effort by all the citizens of Fremont, from all walks of life, all nationalities. They all came together to save South Fremont, the roadway subdivision, Deerfield, and ultimately the power plant. Thank you to Arps Ready Mix and Gearhold Concrete for the use of their facilities and sand during this disaster. By late Saturday, we found the breaches in the Union Dike. This caused devastation. This caused all the devastation for Valley. We also found the main source of water coming into Fremont from the west. There was a breach in the Rod and Gun Club, which in turn washed out County Road 19, causing a new channel into State Lake number 20, which washed away the road and dike that separated Lake Leva and the State Lakes. And ultimately, this water flowed east over Ridge Road and through Fremont up to the Farmland Railroad levee that breached as well. We had tried to stop the water flow at County Road 19, and after a discussion with the Army Corps of Engineers, Dodge County authorized Sawyer Construction to begin the repair of County Road 19. They mobilized what I would call another monumental team of workers and equipment from eastern Nebraska to haul rock from the old Scribner Air Base to be used to stop this flow. We were also at risk further west on Highway 30 at the cutoff ditch, which was receiving pressure from water coming from the hills from the west. And what we would find out later was a huge breach near Lakes Lake at County Road 11. It ultimately washed out the entrance at Timberwood Lake, which caused the threat of water and the threat of Lake Ventura, and more than likely added to the devastation in the Rod and Gun Club. That evening, we added Jersey barriers to block the rawhide ditch at the bypass west of town. This would slow the flow of water into Washington Heights if we lost our foothold on the cutoff ditch. By now, Fremont truly was an island blocked from the south, the east, and west. The churches, our schools, and nonprofits had all kicked into gear, opening shelters at several churches. Our airport was our hub. Pilots were available to fly from Fremont to Omaha or Lincoln, bringing shipments of water, food, and supplies back on their return trips. It was the main source of transportation in and out of Fremont, utilized for public safety and health reinforcements as well. The support from outstate and the region was amazing. It was a true blessing for many weeks to come. On Sunday, we still had a threat from water flowing on the south side of the highway that had broken through on the cutoff ditch at the UP Railroad tracks. This devastated many of the homes east of the cutoff ditch, and finally, late that evening, water levels began to drop, and most of the ice jams had moved downstream from the Fremont area. The hope was, by the end of the day, the major threat might be over. Over the next several days, we began repairing the Fremont Farmland Railroad levee. However, we were still struggling to close the gap in County Road 19. The more stuff we put into that opening, the more it continued to eat out on the other side. And it just seemed like for 2 or 3 days, we gained no ground whatsoever. That's when we found another smaller breach in the Rod and Gun Club. We figured if it was plugged, it would allow us to get a foothold on County Road 19 with less pressure. So at that time, the city mobilized a crew to the Rod and Gun Club. And as this levee was completed, we were able to at least minimize the flow on County Road 19, which stopped the flow across Ridge Road as well. As the water subsidized, the real work really just began. As a city, we had to inspect each and every home in the 2-mile jurisdiction of Fremont. Today, we continue to work with those homeowners and contractors and landlords as they continue to put their homes back together. City staff continues to work with FEMA, NEMA, and the Corps of Engineers in regards to all the financial and engineering guidelines necessary to rebuild the levees affected by this flood. We are also instrumental in forming a joint water management advisory board, which includes the City of Fremont, Dodge County, the Village of Englewood, the Lower Platte NRD, includes the City of North Bend, SID number 3, which is Ventura, SID number 5, which is Timberwood, the Platte Township, Elkhorn Township, the Ames Diking Board, and the Control Diking Board. This board was formed to work together to prepare a long-term plan to address flooding and drainage from western Dodge County to the eastern county line. We continue to work on several grants to be used on flood recovery, flood relief efforts. Here are several of the grants we received and what the money will be used for. First one's a hazard mitigation grant program labeled HMGP. FEMA offers mitigation funds to local governments to enact mitigation measures that reduce risk of loss and property from future disasters. FEMA will provide 75% of the funds to the local government for mitigation projects. The remaining 25% of funds can come from other sources, including CDBG grants. The city is working on 2 mitigation strategies. One is construction, and the other is acquisition. Funds for construction projects are available for homeowners who want to elevate their homes to the top of the lowest finished floor, at least 1 foot above the basic flood elevation, which is established by FEMA. The second strategy is property acquisition, where homeowners can voluntarily surrender their homes to the city. In this case, the land is deed restricted in perpetuity and becomes open green space. CDBG grants. The City and Village of Englewood received the Emergency Threat Grant for the Fremont Farmland Railroad levee. This grant will fund the cost of a complete survey of the levee, as well as offset a portion of the cost for all the tree clearing. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers grant, we are working with the Corps on a $10 million grant to assist homeowners with non-structural improvements to their homes, and this includes elevating the home and flood proofing. Economic Development Administration, the city is working with NENAD to submit a grant application for disaster assistance funds. Grants are specifically targeted to the creation and retention of jobs, increased private investment, advancing innovation, enhancing the manufacturing capabilities, and providing workforce development opportunities. And lastly, the Rebuild Heartland Community Fund. This plan, the plan for the city is to submit an application for funds to help homeowners that qualify for the hazard mitigation grant for the Corps of Engineering grant to pay the portion of the local 25% match. You know, even with the flood and devastation, Fremont's continued to grow, and we continue to go down a path of growth. Some of the developments that we continue to work on, the first one, and these are not in any order, Sunridge Development, they installed phase 1, all the infrastructure, the streets, and they have begun at least 4 homes with 2 homes up and out of the ground. Capstone LLC is a 39-unit development which will begin very soon on the Sunridge development. Gallery 23, they've completed their streets and infrastructure, and they begun construction of several row houses on the northeast corner of the development. Morningside Crossing has started a clubhouse. They have 3 buildings up in different stages of construction and 2 more available. Morningside Point has installed the first phase of their development, which includes streets and infrastructure. A new development, that's at Fountain Springs, housing for residents over 55. They have 2 buildings up and several pads in the ground. Deer Point added several homes this year. Brooks Hollow is building out, and they are adding 18 more lots in the next subdivision. Deerfield Apartments is scheduled to add 44 more units this spring. Lifehouse received a $2 million grant that they are looking at building 5 threeplexes for folks that have been homeless and are striving to get back on their feet. Currently, Blue Stem Commons, which is a workforce housing project, is now going through the approval process in the city, and it is going to be located, if approved, on Luther and County Road T. We recently had a hammer ceremony for the 505 lofts, which will be located in the upper floors of the 505 building, along with a brewery and retail space. This project has is definitely been one that we've been working on for multiple years, since about 2005. All these projects will help fulfill housing deficiency we currently have in Fremont and Dodge County. And then one last project that I didn't mention or didn't add, the housing, Fremont Housing also is looking at building 32 more units in the Fountain Springs area as well. So truly, all of this is meeting the housing needs of our community. In 2019, Nebraska Irrigated Seeds completed their refrigeration warehouse on Highway 77 North. Integrated Seeds began construction on Luther Road south of the power plant. They now have a roof as of today, and they will begin putting equipment into that facility, and they plan to start production in early March. Midland University broke ground on a new men's hall, Miller Hall. It replaces the old facility that was constructed right after World War II. The new 3-story dormitory will be completed in the summer of 2020. The Fremont Moo. It's a baseball complex for those of you that have not made it there yet. It's located at Mower Field, and it's shared with Midland University. It was devastated by the flood, but with lots of hard work, they were ready for the first pitch of the season. In 2018, the voters passed a $2 million bond issue to refurbish the city auditorium. We also received a Civic Center and Community grant from the state of Nebraska, which has paved the way for the renovation. This is a $2.7 million project, but with increased funding, we were able to cover the cost of asbestos removal and all of the interior finishings. In 2018, we said goodbye to a longtime community partner, Hormel Foods. They announced they would be selling the facility to Holstone Farms. Holstone immediately broke ground on phase 1 of their expansion project, which includes a new lunchroom and locker areas, along with new corporate offices. In 2020, they have plans to begin phase 2, which will allow them the ability to add a second shift to this plant. This phase is well over $300 million, and it adds over 500 new jobs. We are excited to be able to partner with Holstone Farms. They already have made a huge impact in our community during the historical floods. They were there to help those in needs. They recently gave over $146,000 to the United Way, which included their employee campaign. Thank you to Holstone Farms for your dedication to Fremont, Nebraska. In September, Costco and Lincoln Premium Poultry began production in their new state-of-the-art processing plant. This facility is exactly what they promised. On October 19, they celebrated with a ribbon-cutting ceremony, and they welcomed the entire community into their plant. They gave tours for the remainder of the day. This was an extremely special day for the city of Fremont, for Dodge County, and the state of Nebraska. Over 4.5 years, and still counting, of public approval meetings, planning, scheduling, design, and finally construction of the feed mill, hatchery, and processing plant, and several barns located in Nebraska and Iowa finally came to fruition. It was a celebration to remember. They currently employ over 600 today to be safe, but I think it's closer to 700. They plan to be full of capacity. They plan to be at full capacity of 2 million birds processed per week by September of 2020. As I have said many times, we couldn't have asked for a better partner. Not only have they done exactly as promised, they too have generously, I'll spit it out here, given back to our community. We are extremely blessed to partner with both Costco and Lincoln Premium Poultry, along with their new neighbor, Holstone Farms. Due to the spring floods this year, many of our public work projects were put on hold. And they'll all be continued into 2020. However, we were able to complete the Military Street resurfacing project from Bell to Claremore. We completed a $265,000 Summers Street box culvert replacement and rehab, just straight to the north. We did over $220,000 worth of street rehab projects across the city of Fremont. We completed an emergency culvert replacement on Bell Street which is between Hickory and 20th. We began the South Johnson Road paving and drainage project, which will connect to Morningside Road. Hopefully, this project, if weather will just work with us a little bit, we'll complete this project in early 2020. The airport will embark on a $2 million apron expansion. We actually had the pre-construction meeting a week ago, and they plan to start in early April. We will be hopefully in the summer of 2020 beginning construction on a new terminal. This will be a great addition for the city of Fremont. This fall we begin to focus on cleanup and repair of the Fremont Farmland Railroad levee. The entire levee was mowed, and we repaired the breaches at Emerson Estates. As new owners of this levee, our goal is to bring the levee up to the Corps of Engineers PL 8499 standards. And you might say, well, what's that mean? What that really means is if we ever have a flood and the levee fails, the feds cover the levee instead of the city of Fremont, and that's our goal, is to get it to that standard. In 2020, we plan to extend Luther Road to Samuel, which is just south of Morningside. We plan to extend Lincoln Street to 29th in the Business and Data Park. The state of Nebraska continues to progress on the Southeast Beltway. This is a $40+ million project. Our share is $20 million, with $13.34 million already paid. Today they are continuing to acquire the right-of-way, and are preparing for an early 2020 bid letting, hopefully within the next 3 to 4 weeks, and construction to begin this year with the completion in late 2021. This year, the Department of Utilities was busy as well. Fremont's extremely blessed to have such a talented workforce. Their entire team worked extremely hard to ensure, even with the devastating floods, our power, our water, our sewer was never compromised. They continue to focus on flood damage along with their day-to-day duties. In May, we went live energizing the Elkhorn Valley Fremont transmission line. This was a shared project with OPPD, just over $32 million. Fremont's share was $19 million plus $4 million to upgrade Substation B. This project ensures electric reliability and stability for many years to come. The utility has completed the $3.8 million SCADA project. This allows us to monitor the entire utility so we can improve reliability and efficiency of all of our systems. The power plant continues to perform their yearly maintenance projects. We'll soon begin a $2 million project, adding more tracks to accommodate up to 150 coal deliveries at a time. At the wastewater treatment plant, we are finalizing improvements and we are working on the upgrade project. The new egg digester will be complete in 2020, along with the covered anaerobic lagoons. These will be used by both Costco and Holstone Farms. We will use the lagoons to generate, we'll also use the lagoons to generate methane, which will be converted to natural gas. The Water Department has budgeted $7 million for water well improvements in 2020, and we are finalizing an agreement with the village or community of Cedar Bluffs to ultimately furnish their water as well. And we can continue to be very proud that we still have the state's best drinking water right here in Fremont, Nebraska. So quit buying the bottled water and just use our tap water. Our wastewater treatment plant this year received 2 awards. The 2019 Scott Wilbur Outstanding Facility Award and the highest available Gold Safety Award. In July, we began our biannual budget process for fiscal years 2019, 2020, and 2020, 2021. A lot of 20s. First, I want to say thank you to Jody Sanders and her staff for the tremendous job they did. I want to thank all the department heads in the utility for their diligence year after year with the individual spending controls and the effect it continues to have on our budget. Lastly, I want to thank the council for their involvement as we went through the budget process. Currently, in regards to a total employee count, the city is budgeting for 142.3 full-time positions in 2020-2021. The utility is budgeting for 146.7 full-time positions. Part-time positions are 31.79 for the city and 5.09 for the utility. Financially, the city council approved a budget with a property tax request of 0.381822 per $100 of valuation, same as the 2018-2019 budget, and a proposed request in 2020-2021 of 0.371373 per $100 worth of valuation. You might not think this is much, but this equates to a savings of $30 on a $125,000 home in 2020 and $51 on the same home in 2021. Fremont continues to be blessed with increased valuations and sales tax growth. It appears we will continue to enjoy increased sales tax for many years to come. In regards to the capital projects, the council approved appropriations for the new city airport apron and terminal project, a splash pad and fountain project for John C. Fremont Park, maybe more of a fountain than a splash pad, but the jury's still out on that one. Continued city auditorium improvements, multi-purpose street warehouse facility, and waste transfer station, to name a few. The library continues to work on their capital campaign. This is a $9.2 million expansion. $2 million will be covered by a voter-approved bond. The fire department purchased a new ambulance, and the police department purchased 3 new cruisers for a total of over $415,000. We're also working on a request for proposal providing pricing for the city's share of the Joint Law Enforcement Center to be located in the Business Data Park. It's our hope we can bring this proposal to the vote of the people in November of 2020. During the budget process, the City Council wrestled with the 23rd Street Viaduct. I'm sure we're all tired of hearing about the 23rd Street Viaduct. This project's been going on since the early 2000s. But due to increased construction costs and after considerable discussion, Council voted 7-1 to not sign the cover sheet of the environmental agreement, which essentially scrapped this project altogether. And it's probably the right thing. This project was just getting way out of hand. As we review the 2019 finances, I'm excited just because it's been a tremendous year. Receipts are up in every major category. Sales tax receipts showed, and this is just for the end of 2019, showed a 10.4% increase over last year, 2018, averaging $665,534 per month compared to $603,000 per month in 2018. Total received in 2019 was $7,986,402. This does not include the $473,000 in proceeds from the sale of land purchased with LB 840 funds. Property tax collections were also up, $6,097,378, which is 10% over last year's receipts. The 2019 taxes were assessed in September of 2018, where valuations increased 9.2%, but the levy remained the same. Occupation taxes increased 7.3% over 2018, for a total of $1,760,057. These include your lodging tax, our food and beverage tax, and our garbage haulers tax. Our franchise tax, which is basically Spectrum, those receipts increased as well. A 36% increase over 2018, with receipts of $290,312 compared to $213,782 in 2018. Building permits also saw an increase, 25% from $406,320 in 2018 to $509,380 in 2019. Tipping fees from our wastewater transfer station had a 10% increase over 2018. $1,271,547, and that's even after not charging all the flood victims approximately $45,000 to $50,000 for flood debris. Fire department receipts, which are the ambulance and fire calls combined, they're stable at $628,642. This is billed and collected, not necessarily all runs, even all billed runs. Gas tax, those receipts are 7.7% higher than 2018, $3,091,257. Keno receipts are up 14% compared to last year at $786,753. On the utility side, electric service revenue is up 5.8% from 2018 totals, and they are nearly spot on budget at $44,967,659. Water service was up 8.42% from 2018, but it's actually about 14.5% behind budget at $4,020,954. Sewer revenue was up 7.67% from 2018 at $6,122,095, but behind budget by approximately 20%. Budget misses are due to timing issues with basically our industrial users. Gas service was 5.2% in 2018, coming in at $14,917,084, approximately a 7% increase over the 2019 budget. As we look at expenditures on the city side, we're 5% under budget at $13,993,028, 1.23% less from 2018. Contractual services were 2.5% over budget at $5,891,053, up 14% from 2018. Commodities were 5.4% over budget and 23.5% more than 2018 at $1,408,386. And lastly, claims, which include our health, our dental, all of our work comp for both city and utility, are coming in at 6.5% less than the 2018 budget. On the utility side, personnel services are 7.64% under budget at $15,028,855, and 1.23% less than 2018. Our contractual services were 13% under budget at $7,324,000, and commodities were 5.41% under budget at $27,567,000. The debt service to expenses, there were no principal payments, were 8.52% less than budget at $3,150,000. Transfers to the city, $3,353,550. This was a 4.87% below budget. And lastly, depreciation was $8,763,140, which is 14% less than budget, but higher than 2018. So as you can see, we have strong numbers. We are strong economically, and we are strong fiscally. Again, I just want to say thanks to Jody Sanders and her financial team for their exceptional work. As we go into 2020, we will have to deal with the growing pains in both police and fire departments, along with all city staff and utility staff. We will continue to focus on housing needs, along with the workforce and infrastructure. The work and planning being done today by this council will impact the future of Fremont for years to come. None of the success that we have seen in Fremont would be possible without the partnership and collaboration with Dodge County, Midland University, Fremont Public, Fremont Bergen, the Greater Fremont Development Council, the Fremont Chamber of Commerce, and all of our nonprofit agencies that are focused on making Fremont strong. I want to say thank you to Brian Newton, City Administrator, his assistants Shane Weimer and Troy Shaven, all the department heads, along with the entire city and utility staff. They truly are the ones that make Fremont the great community that it is. Thank you to our City Council as they work hard to ensure continued growth and development continues. Finally, thank you to the hardworking citizens of Fremont, you all, for all that you do, for your trust and support of myself and city government. And lastly, the support of my loving wife, Judy, for putting up with me these past 9 years, and all that goes with that. I look forward to 2020. The future looks bright. We still have a lot to accomplish. With your help, we can make Fremont strong. God bless you all. God bless Fremont and the great state of Nebraska. Thank you.